Well, there certainly wasn't too much ambiguity about that prophetic word that you shared with us at the end of your last talk. Talk us through how you kind of were feeling, how you came to that place of feeling that you were able to stand up and basically say something quite directive to an entire movement like that.
Yeah,
as a guest.
That was an awkward moment. I mean, it's a 30-year movement that has 500 churches. There's 5,000 people there from 52 nations, and I'm a guest, just got off the plane, and I stand up to speak about the movement, their past, their present, their future, their founder, Terry. He's a wonderful guy sitting in the front row, and I feel like God put 5 years. They need to have a succession plan. God will tell him who that will be, but the movement needs to be praying, and that they need to have a succession plan. And the imagery I had was, I saw the photo of Terry's daughter at his house. That Newfrontiers was like a daughter that he's loved and served and raised well, and that he will shortly, somewhere in that 5-year time frame, walk her down the aisle, hand her to another man to be the movement leader, so that more churches could be birthed. And I felt like I was supposed to give that word, so I did. But doing it in front of 5,000 people you don't know, you want to push enough that they will consider, but not so much that you will offend. And so it's like juggling knives in front of an audience.
Yeah.
It was very, I felt like I was walking on ice, literally. And if I put my foot in the wrong place, I would fall through. So I was out of my normal sort of preach, teach, yell, direct, and was trying to be more sensitive. So I was actually praying through the whole session in my mind, and then speaking as I felt I was supposed to.
So not something you just recommend to just anybody to do, huh?
No.
Not unless you really kind of felt the prodding of the Lord up your backside.
No, and I wouldn't want to do that all the time. I was so tired when I got done. I was really energized all week. I got done with that. I felt like I had run 5 miles in water up to my neck. I mean, I was just exhausted.
Yeah, well, what's actually really interesting about all that, and actually when you think about all the things that you had to say to us over the 3 days, it was, I mean, the illustration I use is it was a bit like fathering us, being a kind of surrogate parent almost. And then right at the end, what's really striking, considering that, you were saying some quite hard things for us, not just even in that talk, but some of the other ones as well. I mean, our logo is together on a mission. You're saying, hang on, you need to be more missional, all that kind of stuff. What was really striking is I've been going to Newfrontiers conferences for 30 years. And in all that time, now I may have a faulty memory on this, but in all that time I don't remember ever us having standing ovations. We just don't do that. We don't do standing ovations. We just don't do that. But you got the first one in 30 years. And I'm guessing that means that people were responding pretty warmly. I don't know how you felt. Did anyone beat you up afterwards?
No, I got a lot of encouragement and everyone was nice. But part of that's British. There's a politeness that is new to me as an American. And so you don't know if people are being very polite or if they actually were well served. But I felt they were being sincere. So.
Well, I would say, as somebody who was there, a part of the movement, and I know you certainly know how you come across the sermons that you preach. You're, very much like a lion at the people. That third session, the way that you handled that, to me, I mean, I cannot remember crying. Except for last time I think I cried, was when my last son was born. That's going back like 10 years, and I was in tears. That portion of that, so you kind of led us right through the week. It's like you led us the whole way to that point. And at that point, it's like our hearts were open and ajar, and you didn't abuse us or take advantage of that vulnerability, that place that we were. But then you gently, rightly calibrating everything you were going to say, said to us, you honor your fathers, and you honor the future. And you spoke into that. I was not the only one in tears. All those on the front row were. It was quite a moment. And I can only quote Terry right back when at the end of it he says, we've had a number of people, very few and far between, who brought words to us as a movement that were prophetic, pivotal, and historic. So this was a historic. He's not a man to use words carelessly.
So I guess really, I just thought it might be useful as well just to clarify something. I mean, you're not suggesting we get rid of Terry tomorrow?
No, Terry's a wonderful guy. I really, really genuinely appreciate, love, respect him. And that was my point was, every movement has a founder and a future, and the founder doesn't live forever, and they need to know how to transition the founder so that they might have a future. And most movements either honor their future and dishonor their founder, or honor their founder and dishonor their future. And that the next 5 years, I think, is Newfrontiers figuring out how to do both well. To honor Terry because he's honorable, and to honor the future because it is a great opportunity that God's laid before the movement.
And if I heard you correctly as well, the other thing you don't want people to do is just start speculating about who's going to be, who's going to be.
Let Terry pray and get time with God, have the people praying for him, and let those senior leaders around him confirm what God lays on his heart.
And you said that in the talk.
Yeah,
At the end,
yeah.
you said, coming up with me that we will pray. Terry, and that's what we'll say for you. We should pray.
Yeah.
That's good. So, did you have any other sort of impressions of Brighton, the movement, at the conference?
I'm encouraged. What I see is reformed church planting movements springing up around the States and around the world, and most of them are at least moderately charismatic. And it seems to be something that God is doing in many places, and all the networks and leaders don't know each other yet,
Yeah.
but we're starting to meet one another. And that's very encouraging, and as we meet, it's like, okay, how do you do things? Well, that's almost exactly how we do things.
Yeah.
It seems like we're reading the same scriptures, we're listening to the same Holy Spirit, and we're doing a lot of similar things. So to me, what's been encouraging even being here, meeting Terry has been great, and then meeting other leaders in the movement that have their own networks in various countries that are doing very similar things. Reformed, complementarian, strong Bible teachers, church planting churches, hearts for cities. All of those variables are very common. It's very encouraging. For me, I didn't know all that God was doing. And then I see that we're part of something much bigger than us. But I see that we're not alone, and we have friends all over the place. It was very exciting.
And I mean, that whole friendship piece is quite an interesting one, because I saw you sort of, a lot of people obviously wanting to talk to you, and I know you had lots of meetings, side meetings and stuff, lots of good relationships being formed, yeah?
Yes, I met some great young leaders who've planted some very dynamic churches and are leading church planting networks and movements, and thoroughly enjoyed them. Learned a lot from them, and got to talk about some things that I've observed and hopefully served them. So yeah, it was really encouraging. I mean, I'm a guy who loves Jesus and the Bible and my family and church planting, and so when I see that in other men and how God is multiplying their works, it's just really refreshing and energizing.
Can I ask you a little bit about something you just said in the last talk about having felt really like you being refreshed personally in your own spirit? I think perhaps particularly in the worship time. Do you want to just talk a bit about that for us?
Yeah, I mean, it has not been the strength historically of Morsel Church where I pastor. And I've got to take a few days when I get back, and I just need to pray and journal and think through all that I've observed and learned. The participation in worship was wonderful. I mean, sitting in the front row with 5,000 people singing, and they sing. I mean, they really sing. And it wasn't just for performance, it was an enthusiasm for God and His mission. And so, I think we've been a very good church when it comes to the ministry of the Word and the sacraments. And I think that worship piece, we have some areas to grow. Pastor Tim, our worship pastor, I think he gets it. Some of his leaders get it. We have so many new Christians. We have so much instruction to do. And we're in such a dark, always raining, indie rock, independent, too cool, suicidal. Kurt Cobain's the Pope. He kills himself because he got popular. I mean, our music culture is you're unpopular and dark. If you become popular, you then sold out and you have to kill yourself. And so anything that looks like enthusiasm or success is anti-Seattle. And so spiritually there's something that needs to break. And I've got to go home and figure that out with my elders.